Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's having a good Monday afternoon. Seems to be nice weather out there. I'm kind of just hanging out, waiting for some furniture to get delivered. So, got some time to kill between now and then. So, hopefully, you got the if anyone saw my previous video, had some throat issues, so hopefully got that worked out. I got a nice bottle of water handy, so try to keep that to a minimum. But yeah, I figured I'll jump on and make another video here. Uh, Excited for the new series between Mets and Cardinals to start tonight. Uh, I would like to think we're favored to win this series. St. Louis also 2-1. They they're not expected to be a good team from most of the outlets. They won 2 of 3 against Tampa Bay. Actually, we're going for the sweep until they lost yesterday. So they are also 2-1, as I mentioned. But I'm just hanging out this afternoon. I figured I'll introduce myself a little bit further. I have been a Mets fan since 1984 season, basically right when Dwight Gooden came on the scene. Um, I at the t- I was born in '76, so around that time I was 8 years old. I was already into sports at the time. I had I would watch baseball. I would play baseball. Uh, in a neighborhood or with teams or whatever. But I really got interested in watching Major League Baseball around that time as well. Whether it's collecting cards, watching games on TV. In my neighborhood, there was a lot of older kids. I was on the younger side. I'm talking about kids like that were young teenagers and even a little older that I was kind of hanging around with. Just playing games, playing football, playing baseball, and at the park or parking lot near my house. So I would get a lot of info from what these guys were talking about as far as sports. Like I said, I was watching myself and paying attention to things, but you know there was a lot of Phillies fans. Just an area I'm from in PA. It's a mix of Philadelphia fans, New York fans, and then like all type of other fans. So the first World Series I can recall paying attention to was the 1983 series between the Phillies and the Orioles, won by the Orioles. And I didn't really have a favorite at the time. I think I was just more interested in watching the game and all that. Obviously, everyone knew Mike Schmidt and them guys from Phillies. I think he was probably the highest paid player at the time, if I can recall correctly. Uh, but I remember hearing these kids talking about Dwight Gooden, and he was really making a name for himself. It's well known now that he came up 19 years old, debuted in the major leagues, and was sort of dominant. If not the first season, then definitely the second season. He had an all-time uh, statistical season, and just going off what they're saying, I watched some of the games. We would get them on Channel 9 here, uh, WOR Channel 9, and that's they were playing the Mets games at the time. Uh, man, just watching him pitch looked just way different than anything else I had seen, even in my limited viewership at the time. It was just like, wow, the way he just moves and looks is just crazy. And he's only 19 years old at the time. He had the high leg kick, the curveball, and just blowing guys away. So that made him my favorite player immediately, and then I just started following the team at that point as much as I can at a 7 year old. So that's when I would say I became a Met fan following the team. It's hard for me to say how serious I was then, but then the following year they had a good team again. They would have made the playoffs if we had the current playoff format that we do now, but um, they just missed, and they lost the division to the Cardinals. Yeah, the Mets had in 1985 they won 98 games and didn't make the playoffs. So that's that tells you a lot right there. And the Cardinals went on and they played in the World Series, and they pretty sure they lost to Kansas City in the 7-game series. Yeah, Cardinals won 101 games, the Mets won 98 games. That was the 85 season. So yeah, there was a lot of excitement about the Mets at the time. All their young players, Gooden, as I mentioned, Darryl Strawberry, he was a favorite. All the guys you heard about, Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter, Ron Darling wasn't a superstar, but he's well known now. Sid Fernandez, Bob Ojeda, their pitching staff. Um, all those guys. So, there was a lot of excitement going into the 1986 season. Uh, I don't need to tell anybody what happened there, but I will tell my personal story because like I said, I was already a Mets fan at the beginning of the year. Um, and my mom was pregnant at that time, at least during the baseball season. So I was, spending a lot of time helping her out as much as I could. And, and especially in the summertime, then they would have day games on, and, I would watch them. She'd watch them with me because she also likes baseball, but was more letting me do, the watching of it. And all that summer, I was watching a lot of Mets games, and it was very exciting because they were winning like all the time, and it was, just very interesting to me. Like I said, I tried to watch as many games as I could. They didn't have every game televised like they do now, but if it wasn't on TV, I'd be checking the box scores in the newspaper and following the team. And then got crazy. We won the division easily, and then went into the playoffs. Played against Houston Astros in the championship series. Uh, they had a great team. Mike Scott was unhittable basically at the time, and also had Nolan Ryan pitching. So right there, pretty good team. Some of the hitters they had aren't as well known. I want to say their best guy was maybe Glenn Davis. Uh, but they had a bunch of other, decent players. Billy Hatcher, who had some success in other places. Kevin Bass. I forget who else. What some of their other guys' names were. Bill Doran, second baseman. Man, oh, and Jose Cruz with the leg kick. They had him. That championship series that is going down in history as one of the greatest ever. Just just the sheer drama of it, and then both teams really expecting to win. They had both had high expectations. The Mets had the best record in baseball coming in. They were 108 wins in the regular season. You bring up the standings for that. They had 108 wins. I know that. I'll never forget that. But come on, that's not what I want. All right, yeah, I forgot how to click buttons for a second there, but yeah, the Mets had 108 wins. Houston won 96. They won their division. At that time, it was just East and West. Um, Mets played the Astros in championship series. The most special thing to me about this series was my brother was born on October 15th, and that was the day when the Mets won that series in 6 games after a 16 inning victory. Uh, that game just, I mean, I'm sure it's not just me that has a special holds that game in high regard, but anyone who follows baseball and was watching at the time realizes that how special that game was. We needed to win that sixth game to avoid facing Mike Scott in Game 7, who had already won. I think it was the first two for Game 1 and then Game 4. Yeah, and that guy was just unhittable. He was the probably the best pitcher. I mean, whether or not he was scuffing the baseball as much uh, as he was accused of is a whole matter in itself. But he was, definitely the best pitcher. Um, and then everyone knows what happened going into the 1986 World Series against Boston. Kind of the same situation came down to the end. Uh, Game 6 was the pivotal matchup. Um, you can catch highlights of this game anywhere. The Mets down to their last outs. Mookie Wilson hits the dribbler up the first baseline. Buckner can't cover the bag or can't grab the ball while also trying to take it to the bag and went through his legs. Uh, you know, the run scored, and the Mets ended up winning that Game 6 to force a Game 7, and then the Mets won the series in 7 games. Just amazing time. I will never forget, although the details can get hazy here and there. Obviously, 40 years ago. I'm not going to apologize for that, but I'll never forget that team, and I will always, be a Mets fan because, I stay with my teams anyway. But after witnessing that, watching intently every game as such a young kid at the time, like I can't, uh, I'll have to stay a Mets fan my entire life. It does. I'm all in at this point. So that's a little bit of a background of my history as a Mets fan. I'll continue a little bit further, uh, just going through different points in my life and following the Mets at the same time, and the impacts their mostly failures have had on me, but a lot of great moments, um, a lot of interesting stories and great players. Um, I'll talk about some of the games I went to, and just other memories I have from those years, up until present day. So stay tuned for the next episode, but hopefully we can make some more history and add it to the first couple chapters. So all right, thank you very much. I do have another video that I posted this morning recapping the series between the Mets and the Pirates. If you want to check that out, just try to support the channel. I'm going to try to keep making these videos. Hopefully there's some interest out there, but either way, I'm going to do it just because it's fun for me. So, all right, have a good day.